Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco. Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to do a review of The Mentalist Season 1. And, I'll be the first to say I'm not too happy with not doing as many videos this month. I gotta be honest, the major reason is not because I've gotten burned out of doing videos, which I did kind of in the summer, and that's what motivated me to do Patreon, because I think that it makes me feel better that when I'm dedicating like every single day to doing YouTube, that at least I'm getting something out of it, but I really like doing YouTube videos, but the fact is this month has been torturous. I've been working on my short film County Fear. I had to finish editing it. I have to do all this post-production. There was all this business with getting it copyrighted. There wasn't enough space on their website, so I had to burn the short film onto a disc to send it to them. And the discs we already had at home didn't have enough gigabytes on them. In fact, I think it only had like a little tiny amount. So it's been a nightmare this month with just having to do all these marketing things, like, drawing handmade posters, doing editing for bloopers behind the scenes. So it's just been a lot. It's been a lot, and when you do that much crap, you really don't have much time to say oh, well, today I'm going to review this movie, and tomorrow I'm going to review a TV show, and then the next day I'm going to review another movie. And it's really sad because, October is usually the big month for this channel. It's the big month where we go okay, we're going to talk about every single horror movie ever. We review a whole series. And so I wish I had gotten all of that stuff done earlier, because if I did, I would have had, the freedom this month to, just do what I wanted to do. But anyways, I've been watching The Mentalist. A couple of weeks ago, I was looking around for something to watch, just something to watch for fun. And I came upon The Mentalist, and I thought, I never watched that show. I'd like to give it a shot. Now, I'd like to talk about my history with this show, because my mom watched The Mentalist. Apparently, she claims that she watched the whole thing, but, she also claims she watched The Office for the entire series, and we all know that that was a lie. She even admitted it. So, she said the same for The Mentalist, and so all that I remember really is growing up thinking, this show seems like it's like an old people show. It seems like it's an old people network show. It's boring, and the main guy, Patrick Jane, he's a sleazy looking guy. He is a sleazy looking character. He looks like he's going to do some nasty, nasty things to you. And in real life, I think he's Australian, so that kind of explains it. Australians, I love Australia. I love Australian people, but Australians, a lot of them, they can look really greasy. They can look greasy and sleazy, and that's what Patrick Jane always looked like to me. And the way that my mom described the show, she kind of put me off of watching it, because her review of the show, this was all the way back in the day. And I vividly remember her talking about it one day, one afternoon, or one evening when we were driving home from me playing baseball, which I played baseball for a year. And I'll always remember her review of the show was, oh God, watch The Mentalist. I'm getting tired of that show. It's just all about Red John, Red John, Red John, Red John, Red John. Who's Red John? Who's Red John? What's Red John? Where's Red John? That was her review of the show. It was such an odd. I was like, God, that's like, what is wrong with that show? And so for years, I did not even try to watch the show because that's what she said the show was all about. I mean, I don't know which episode she even watched that led her to make her be so angry. But I asked her about it recently, and she said, yeah, that was a good show. But she doesn't remember anything about it, basically. She does not remember. She probably just watched it for fun and, didn't really think too much about it. So going into the first episode, I was really, really kind of just curious. And the opening scene, I would say, is the best scene out of the entire season. It's very dark. It's very quick. I mean, Patrick, he just goes into this person's mansion, this family's mansion, when their daughter just got killed, and he makes himself a sandwich, and he makes himself a cup of tea. He loves tea. I actually have a cup of tea with me right now, in honor of the show. And then he has this little conversation with this mom, and she thinks that her husband killed their daughter, and he comes back in. There's a confrontation. She kills him, and it's just like, wow. It was such an action-packed, opening scene. It just made me think, this is a badass show. How did I not ever want to watch this? How is this a show that I avoided all these years, and I could have watched it and given it ratings and been a loyal, dedicated viewer, but I didn't. I felt so bad because it started off so well. The first episode of the show, I will already say, it is my favorite episode of the first season. It was just so dark. It had a completely different feeling from the rest of the season. I think in season 2, episode 8, I'm on episode 9, but episode 8 is the only episode that's come close to episode 1 from season 1. But even then, episode 1 had such a different feeling. It was so depressing. The characters are so dark. All the characters are very flawed. It actually has kind of an X-Files feel to it in the way that the characters are very flawed and the characters are constantly struggling. Patrick's character, his character was really, really... This was the problem, though. In episode 1, I was having a problem with the show at a certain point because Patrick was really, really unlikable. He was really, really unlikable. In an episode with a child molester killer dad who gets killed, and also a killer doctor guy who later on gets arrested, Patrick came off as one of the most unlikable characters. And it was just wow, this is so unexpected. I did not expect the show to be like this. It's a real TV show. They've got 23 episodes. It actually feels like adults wrote the show. It doesn't feel like it was written by 15-year-old girls who aspire to study gender studies, in college. It feels like an actual show that I would want to watch today. And episode 1, though, I was really struggling to the point of where I actually stopped the show. And I said, do I really want to watch this? I was really turned off by it. It was that dark. It was that bad. But no, it wasn't bad. It just was very negative. But I decided to stick through it. And for the most part in season 1, I will say it was a great season. It was very consistent. It was consistently good. There were some days where I would just watch like 3 Mentalist episodes and I just wouldn't care. I would just go from one to the next to the next. And it was very, very enjoyable to watch like a real TV show where I can, I can be like, okay, I have 23 whole episodes. I don't have to worry about how, there's only 8 episodes, so I'm already halfway through the season. No, I got to really enjoy myself watching this show. And so it really reminded me of how good TV shows used to be. And I really appreciate that. I'm really thankful for that. I'm really thankful for, watching this show. I mean, I think it's one of the best decisions I've made this entire year. And that's putting it lightly. Like, I think, yeah. So, in general, I'm going to kind of go through a couple of thoughts, and then I'm going to talk about all the episodes, and I might not talk about a couple just for time, but I'm not going to do, I'm going to try to make this like a shorter review. I actually filmed this review a couple of days ago, but I filmed it at like midnight, and so I was so tired. I was talking while sleeping, and I didn't even give the show a food review. That was how bad it was. So it was just a really bad video, and I deleted it. It was probably my worst ever review I've ever done. And I feel confident admitting that, like, I'll admit when I make a mistake or when I do something wrong, and that was definitely a big mistake of a video. But yeah, so one of the things that I would say is that one of the frustrating things is that a lot of the times in the show, Patrick will do a lot of weird things, and then you have to wait for him or them to explain why he did those things. And it kind of takes away from the show because, you have a show like Psych where, they would zoom into the clues, they would highlight the clues so that you could feel like you're with Sean. You're going on that journey with him. You're not just watching a show. The Mentalist feels like you're watching Psych on hard mode. As well, I think that in the first season, it was kind of rough in the first half in terms of Patrick Jane is the best character on the show. I don't think that's ever going to change. Okay, I mean, I don't think that's ever going to change. Okay, and I feel pretty confident saying that too. And in the first half of the show, it was a real struggle to get to like the side characters because I don't know, just whenever they were on screen, I always felt like this is just like typical, boring, procedural network stuff. Whenever Patrick's on screen, it's like, okay, now that is why I'm watching the show. I also really love the music. I think the music is really, really good. The only thing that I'm really pissed off about is in Season 2, they changed the themes. That really, really irritates me. I really loved the theme in Season 1. I liked how each episode started with, the Mentalist and the definition of that word. And then they had an intro, and then they played the theme song. I thought that was really, really good. It worked perfectly. And I really, really didn't like in Season 2 how they changed the music and they changed the theme. It felt like they were trying to make it into James Bond. And I didn't like that. I don't think that the Mentalist is James Bond. I think that that's a different thing, Now, There's a big story in season 1. It's a side story. So this show came out in 2008. I think I was in like third grade around that time, and yeah. And this was when in TV shows they had a lot of will they, won't they relationships. And, you know, I'm fine with that. It's just that I've been seeing a lot of this crap nowadays where you have characters who are working together and then they're not allowed to be together because they're working together. And it's just so fucking gay. It's so stupid. It's so gay. And they have this whole side story in The Mentalist season 1. You have Rigsby and you have Emily, and they're a great couple. They have great chemistry. They look great together. They feel like they would actually make a good couple, which is also very important that you do when you're making a movie or a show. That is why you have the casting director, okay? And but for some reason they just won't like hook up, you know, like they just won't do it, and it gets so frustrating. It gets so frustrating because it's like, look, you have to become an adult at some point. And part of becoming an adult is learning that the rules are there so that they can be bent if needed. For instance, okay, so you have these two guys, they're working together, and they're in love. So why can't they hook up and date? There's no legitimate reason why they shouldn't be allowed to hook up and get into a relationship. Even if it affects their work. If it affects their work, then that's even better, because at that point it's like, okay, well, you know, maybe one of them needs to quit and then they can do something else, and then out of everything, at least they're together. And at least they're going to have a beautiful relationship. Like, and also, but also at the same time, I don't really think it affects the work as much as people would think. I think it only really affects the work if one of the people lets it. And but I think that the thing is that, like, I'm just imagining, like, just imagine, guys, what if years later Rigsby and Emily in the show, in the show's canon, what if they had children? And what if what if the kids are like, hey mommy or daddy, how did you guys meet? How did you guys fall in love? What are the parents going to say? Oh, well, we were working together at CBI as police officers, whatever, as agents of CBI, and not police officers. And but we were really, really in love. But, you know, when you're working together, you're not supposed to be together. So we kind of just, like, sat around for a year not doing anything about it. And then, like, at one point we decided to get together, and then we didn't have an issue. Or they probably will have issues. I mean, maybe they'll, you know, break up and they'll get back together. Maybe they'll do that type of thing for ratings or something. I don't know. But it was just so gay how, like, it's just so gay, this whole thing of, like, oh, like, I mean, it's so childish, too. It's so childish, like, why they can't just hook up and, you know, get to it. Like, why they're, you know, acting like it's going to be some immortal sin if they get into a relationship, you know? And, but anyways, there were some funny moments with that, too. I really liked, I can't remember if it was season 1 or season 2, but Kimball Cho, he's another side character. He's very likable. He's very cool. He kind of acts like he's Patrick Jane's right-hand man. And there's this part where he walks up to Rigsby and he says, "Any progress?" And Rigsby is just like, "No." And it's like, it's just so funny because, like, You're just wondering, like, how long are they going to drag this out? How long are Rigsby and Emily not going to be together? Like, it's just so silly. But, you could definitely tell that the writers did that on purpose. And in terms of Patrick, I really liked his character throughout the season consistently. There wasn't one episode where I was like, oh, I really don't like him there, except for the first episode. Other than that, I really loved his character. I think he's probably one of my favorite fictional, like, detective characters of all time. Because he's an outsider, too. He's not a real cop. He's not a real detective. He's just a guy. He's just a consultant. All right. So, I'm going to very quickly go over, like, what I thought of all the different episodes. Okay. The worst episode of the season was Carnelian Inc. This has Howard from Better Call Saul, and he is playing an evil CEO. I thought this episode was okay. I give it like a C. It just wasn't great. And then also there's this one where there's like magic involved and they wonder if a witch cursed this guy and that's why he's dead. That one was really, really mediocre. Then there was another one about a former love interest of Patrick's, and she asks him to solve this case. And it's all about this guy this scientist who is trying to correct bad behavior and evil behavior with electricity or something. And it's just really silly. It's really goofy. It's just kind of, I didn't really like it that much. And then lastly, in the C tier, there was one about, it was about like a movie making. It was about making a movie, and this one guy gets killed, and it's not very good. That's season 1 episode. I can't even see the full episode number because I'm reading this off of a tier maker. But those are my least favorite episodes of the season. And then we have episode 3. This one had an issue in terms of at some points I did feel like Patrick was doing weird things just to do weird things. There's this really long sequence where Patrick is playing and making a sandcastle, and then you find out that he did that so he could end up in this suspect's trailer with him. And it just kind of felt stupid. Like, he would have ended up there regardless, Like, he would have ended up there anyways. Like, he didn't need to do this whole sandcastle sequence. But I liked the episode. It was okay. Next up is episode 15. This was all about these country club wives. It was just okay. And then next up is, I think it's called The Thin Red Line, and this is one where there's a police officer who's involved in a murder, and it's actually pretty good. It's kind of unconventional. It's kind of sad, because the guy, he committed this murder on complete accident, and he didn't have the full story, so he killed someone who he didn't really need to kill, and it was just a horrible thing, but it did have a really sweet ending. I really liked the ending, so yeah. Next up is episode 22. This one was all about this evil camp for kids, and this one was actually kind of hard to watch. Because this camp director, the leader of the camp, he was so evil and so unlikable, and I couldn't stand him. But I really liked the episode. It was fun. It was a fun episode. It's right before the finale. So, it's just kind of a fun episode. It's a B episode. And then next up is there was one about this girl who survived her friend getting killed, and then she couldn't remember what happened on this one night. So Patrick helps her remember, and it once again ends up being a cop. This episode is actually a huge problem. And so the next one is the finale of season 1, which I actually thought was kind of mediocre. And the reason is because when I watched the finale, they opened up, and the first thing they do is show this one police officer, and immediately I said, oh, he's the guy. He did it. He's the bad guy. And what do you know? They literally copied what they did in the earlier episode where Patrick is alone with this police officer, and then he gets a call that he's the bad guy. And the same thing happened in the earlier one, except it was with Lisbon and then the bad guy. So it was like, did they do that on purpose, like to parallel them or something? Like to parallel the characters? Like, that was kind of weird. Alright, I'm having some allergy issues, guys. Sorry. It's so weird. Like, I was like so excited about doing this review, and then all of a sudden I got these allergy issues. At the top of the B tier is episode 4. This episode was okay. Patrick has this love interest, and, it was okay. And now we are on to the A tier. So first off, we have episode 9, which is all about a guy committing arson. And this episode I really liked because I thought it was really dark, and I thought it was really exciting. You didn't really know what was going to happen. However, I did figure out the bad guy as soon as the guy with fake mental problems, as soon as he comes on screen, and he's like, "Hello, where do I put the potato chips?" As soon as he came in doing that, I was like, oh, okay, he's the bad guy, and they're trying to pull a fake out where we don't suspect him because he's, supposedly got a problem. And no, but I knew it was him. And next up is episode 7, which is where this psychic Christina is introduced. I loved the ending. I loved all the interactions that she had with Patrick. But other than that, this was a really mediocre episode. I felt like it was a mediocre mystery. It was probably the weakest mystery out of all of them in the whole first season. But still, it led to one of the most emotional moments in the series so far. Very, 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 very hard to watch. And next up is, now I don't know the episode number. I think it's the one about I'm gonna have to look it up. Sorry guys. I'm gonna look it up real quick. It's episode 21. This one I put up so high because I love the twists at the end. I love the twist how the one guy who's in a wheelchair, he was faking being in a wheelchair. I thought that was great. And then they also had this really, really good female character that they introduced. And she really seemed like she would be a great femme fatale. And I was so shocked that they never brought her back on the show because it really seemed like they were hinting at bringing her back. It really seemed like they were going to bring her back because of how they left things off with her. And also, it was very sad to read that she passed away of alcoholism. I thought that was very, very sad. The actress. All right. Next up is The Crimson Casanova. This one was great. It was classic. It was funny. And it also kind of felt like it was a little ahead of its time. I love the part at the end where they do the big stakeout thing, and Cho has to dress up like Patrick and, act like Patrick in order to catch the bad guy. I thought that was great. Next up is Red John's Friends. This is the mid-season episode all about the Red John case. And again, I like this episode because I like how Patrick is an outsider in the episode. I think that in Psych, the reason why that show was so good is because the characters were outsiders. But one of the big issues with Psych is that the show went on, they started to become familiar, and they did not feel like outsiders by the end of the series. But The Mentalist actually seems to be trying to find ways to make it so that Patrick is an outsider in some episodes here and there. Like they try to throw him off. They try to make it challenging for him, and I really, really like that. I think that's good, and this is one of those episodes. I will say, Patrick is supposed to be a genius, and I really didn't like how as soon as this guy got out of prison, after Patrick helped prove his innocence, I really didn't like how he didn't pressure the guy to just tell him information right then and there. I thought it was so obvious that he was planning to escape, and, knowing that he's a con man, it's like, I think that Patrick should have seen that. The next episode is all about paintings. And this one is really, really good. In fact, I should have put it in the S tier. It's a really, really fun episode. It's so much fun because I started to try to look at the paintings and figure out if one was a replica. And actually just talking about these episodes makes me want to go back and rewatch them again. And next episode is the one where Patrick goes blind. I thought that was really good. That was really a good gimmick. It was an interesting idea. Next up is the one about the killer chef and his wife. I really liked that episode because, again, Patrick felt like an outsider. And I thought it was a very funny episode. And then finally, my last episode in the A tier is Red Sauce. This episode, it has a lot of flaws, but I really, really enjoyed it a lot. I thought that the actress who turns out to be the bad guy, she was really, really hot. There was also a really funny moment in this episode, and I still kind of don't understand it. But Patrick is supposedly trying to hypnotize this teenager. And what he does is he plays pinball while the teenager watches. And he says things like, "You'll do whatever I say. You're going to do whatever I say." And then after playing a while, he taps the guy's shoulder. And they have this really creepy shot. It's probably the creepiest, sleaziest moment for Patrick the whole season. He puts his hand on this kid's shoulder and he's like, "Okay, kid, you're going to come over there with me and you're going to do what I want." It's so sleazy. The look at his face and the lighting, they have this blue lighting. It's just like, oh my God. Like, I was like, what the hell? Like, that was really weird. Honestly, like, they should have picked a different angle for that shot, because that was really, really creepy. It was so creepy. And in fact, I'm going to put that as the thumbnail picture for this video. And I'm going to turn it into a meme. But the reason why I love this episode so much, in fact, this is probably my favorite episode of the season, besides the first one, is that I love the last whole thing, the last trick that he plays to catch the bad guy. I love it whenever Patrick gets really, really intense. I like it when he gets really serious and intense, like he did in the first episode. And it's just a really, really, really good trick that he pulls on this woman. And also, you feel kind of bad because she is so hot. The actress who played this character, like, I was like, oh my god, like, I was surprised by that. You know, you never see this kind of sexy character on a network TV show. Now we have the S tier. The first episode in the S tier is the gambling one. And this is one that I think everyone agrees is like a great episode. It's a really dark episode, honestly, because the bad guy, he turns out to be really, really bad. And he's an addict, though. And I loved seeing Patrick win all these different casino games and the poker game at the end. And I just thought it was a really well done episode. Like, it was a very meaty and well done episode. The second best episode of the season is Russet Potatoes. This actually feels like it's more of a finale than the actual finale of The Mentalist Season 1. It's all about hypnotism, and the bad guy uses hypnotism to hypnotize different people into doing bad things, including eventually Agent Rigsby. And I think that this episode felt like the finale because it felt like the culmination of seeing Patrick is this mysterious kind of, genius figure that we really don't understand. And I think that this episode kind of demystified some of the techniques that he uses, and it helped us see kind of behind the scenes a little bit. And it also was very, very action-packed and intense, and very, very surprising too. So, in terms of food, as I said, this season was a great season, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm having terrible allergy issues. I don't know what happened. I think it's because I went to go get the mail, and I went outside or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to get this video done, unfortunately. But in terms of food, Safi and I, we have had multiple new soft drink flavors throughout the year. And one of those that I've had is the Mountain Dew Trolley Lemon Red Cherry flavor. It's supposed to taste like the gummy worms that are yellow and red. And I was so surprised about how good this drink was, because it's only 15 calories. And it has sucralose instead of aspartame, which, if you guys don't know, aspartame is really, really bad for you. It gives you cancer. And Mountain Dew Trolley, though, it was so good. It was such a surprise. And I never would have thought as a kid that they could make a drink that tastes like gummy worms. Like, I've always loved gummy worms as a kid. I would get gummy worms from Hollywood Video as a snack, and I've always enjoyed them. And yeah, I really love this drink. And I really can't wait to continue watching The Mentalist. I will say, season 2 has been a rough ride so far. Yeah, it's been a rough journey. It feels like let's just be positive now. Season 1 is great. It's consistently good. There's a good balance of Red John and all the other cases and just being a good show. But in season 2, it literally feels like the modern TV show formula where, oh, well, we can have 7 really mediocre episodes that, they don't really matter because we're going to have one episode after the 7, and the 8th episode is going to be a masterpiece. So if we have the one masterpiece episode, we don't have to worry about the rest of the show being good. That's kind of what it feels like to me. I don't know if anyone who's seen The Mentalist, if you agree with that, I would be interested to know. But they do that a lot nowadays. It feels like, oh, well, this one episode being really, really good justifies like 5 or 6 bad or mediocre episodes. They did that in the final season of Better Call Saul, which people acted like episode 7 was worth episodes 1 through 6 being piss poor and terrible. And it's so bad. So anyways, please like this video and comment and tell me what you thought of The Mentalist Season 1. I also will say I like Lisbon. I like her a lot. In Season 2, she got a really bad haircut. She looks straight out of 2009, 2010. She looks so dated with the haircut she has in Season 2. In Season 1, she looks so much better. So I really hope that she gets better as the show goes on, because in Season 1, I really liked her. But in Season 2, that haircut does a lot of damage. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest reviews, and if you would like to continue watching me review The Mentalist. And also, we have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.